Hi hotties, I'm Andrea if you know or do not know. Um, I'm a cosplayer, and unfortunately I live in the middle of the Midwest, and so I wanted to come on here and basically show you guys what I keep in my bag for conventions during the summer, basically what keeps me going through the conventions, um, how I kind of manage, but it's mostly about the bag. It's mostly about the bag. Trust, trust. Anyway, this is my bag, my con bag. I have a bunch of really cute keychains, all that stuff. Um, and then I have pins in here and some extra stuff. So these two I actually bought from a vendor at an anime festival. She was so sweet, amazing. Thank you to my uncle who bought them for me that time. We were there. And he was taking me this weekend to AFW again. So, thank you. Um, anyway, let's get started. In this top big pocket, I usually keep most of my like styling stuff, my emergency stuff, stuff like that. So for starters, I have this little handheld fan which I got at Universal Studios whenever I went to Orlando for my sister's Make-A-Wish trip. It's really nice, it's really handy, and if you know, you know. When you're in cosplay, especially in the middle of summer, especially if you're anywhere in the Midwest, like it gets hot, like over 100 degrees hot, and it can be miserable. Like even if it's an indoor convention, it can still be really hot inside. So these are really handy. I'm sure you can get them like close to anywhere in the summer. Um, so if you have the resources to get one, or you have something similar, take it with you. If it's small, like handheld like that, it can be really handy. Otherwise, or even like those handheld fans that you know what I mean. Um, then the next thing I usually take is hairspray. Normally I would take a smaller bottle, but this is the only one I have right now, and it's the Pantene Pro V Style series
Extra strong hold, 24-hour humidity resistance.
hairspray. That is a mouthful, but it's really nice. It works really well on wigs and keeps your stuff in place, and it's very sticky. So but that goes with any hairspray, if I'm being honest. I also, speaking of wigs, I keep a brush in my bag just in case. This one's really good for like um, flattening out, well, kind of like like nothing too intense on styling, at least. So it's good for quick fix-ups. Um, Fashion tape and bobby pins. Always have one or the other or both if possible on you at conventions, because either you or someone else will always need one or both of these, and it's always nice to be the person that has it. I've had instances because I cosplay a lot from, or not a lot, but I have a Genshin Impact cosplay. Fashion tape, my best friend with that cosplay. It's Beto, and it's very chest. It's very boob. So fashion tape, best friend. Bobby pins, very handy with heavy wigs. A lot of people go all out for conventions, wear like their heaviest, most styled wigs. If you're one of those people, you probably already know to keep bobby pins on you. This is a really good 90-piece pack, but as long as you have some, like that's better than nothing. I also keep like regular big, these are the ugliest hair clips I have, so I take them with me to conventions because if I get too hot or I get too bad of a headache where I have to take my wig off, I don't want my hair in my face either. So these are always nice to have. You can also just use your bobby pins, and this is just me as well because I overheat really easily. Um, I also have wig clip, like wig pin things, in case a styling mishap happens or something like that. Um, I also always keep chapstick with me. Um, I usually keep it in this open pocket here. It makes things really handy and keeps my lips moisturized. That one was my Hello Kitty one. It's one of my favorites. Also, makeup bag. If you go in cosplay, take a makeup bag because sometimes just doing your makeup beforehand won't cut it because you're gonna be there for sometimes 6 to 8 hours throughout the day, and so sometimes you need to touch up your makeup, sometimes you need to do all that. Yours obviously doesn't have to be as like stuffed as mine. This is actually filled with most of my day-to-day makeup, so it's not just like cosplay makeup or anything. And sometimes I take a separate bag for my brushes, which you obviously don't have to do that. You can take everything in one bag, or you don't even have to take brushes really if you're confident that your makeup will stay. Um, Water, please take a water bottle. Please take a water bottle. And if you can't take a water bottle, buy one at the convention. But if possible, take one because convention water can get really pricey and it's really dumb and you don't need to be scammed out like that. Editing Andrea here. Some conventions have little water stations around that give you like free little cups of water, but not every convention will have that. So just keep that in mind. So if you have been to this convention before and it usually has that, check in with COVID regulations and all of that stuff before like confirming that they have those. Because sometimes they don't have them due to COVID like regulations and health stuff. So just double check with your area and have fun and stay safe. Bye. Like if you're there, you want to be spending money on like treats and cool things from vendors and all that stuff. You don't want to be spending your money on necessities like water and food. Um, Speaking of food, try to eat beforehand or afterwards. I would recommend beforehand because you're going to be running off of fumes by the time you're leaving, or you might have to end up leaving early because you're too hungry. And that's no fun. No one wants to do that. I'm trying to think of what else to take. Oh, the smaller front pocket. Speaking of vendors, the smaller front pocket, I usually leave or try to leave empty if possible, because I like to put anything I get from vendors that I can't like wear or put on my bag like pins or something. I like to keep those in this pocket because it makes it a lot easier than carrying everything around in your hands trying to make that work, making sure you have accounted for every single thing. If it's in your bag, you don't have to worry about it. Um, yeah, so that's, I think that I covered all the bases of what's in my bag. So I can move on to the next thing. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about and like really get in depth with is the convention experience. Now, overall, this varies from person to person. Every convention experience I've had has been like throughout the entire thing, there's been highs and lows, but overall, it's been a really good experience. Like, it's been a really good time. But, like I said, there's highs and lows. There's always going, like, you may have heard those convention horror stories, like getting stalked at a convention by a creepy guy, um, all that stuff. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to sugarcoat it or anything. Like, that definitely does happen. it's a thing that does and will happen. And unfortunately, there's not a lot to stop it. It's really sad that it happens, and it usually happens to women at conventions, because they're wearing a revealing cosplay. So they're asking for it. Or, like, like, everything you've heard before, unfortunately, have heard before. Um, but in my own experience, I haven't had a lot of instances because I've always gone with a adult male figure or with a group of friends or another friend. Like in most cases, my uncle takes me to my conventions, and I'm so grateful that he is able to take me to those. I understand that not everyone has an adult like male figure to take them, or who is willing to be involved in their interests or things they do outside of like family events. But if you have a friend, especially a male friend, like unfortunately it's that way. Like always take or stick around a trusted either adult or a trusted group of friends, or even if you walk up to a group of women as another like female cosplayer or AFAB cosplayer and say, and you just walk up and you're just like, you let them know the situation, or make it obvious that you're playing it off, or like join in on their conversation, so that way the person either following you or being weird overall. And like I said, in most keyword most cases, it's usually a man doing the creepy activities. If you join that group, they will understand. Even if you can't explain it to them up front, explain it to them at some point, and I'm sure they will be understanding. And if they're not, then if it got you out of that situation, that's all that matters. Um, I've had, I think, two instances in the same convention. It was at a Comic Con. I was cosplaying Your Forger, and I should have a picture. I can put it over here. Um, and this guy walked up to me and was like, "Your Forger, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "You look good." And I was like, "Thank you." And I wasn't sure. I've never seen this guy in my life, never met him, didn't know who he was at all. And I'm gonna tell you this, keep in mind, at this convention, I think I was turning 14 within the next month, or I had just turned 14. I was either 13 going on 14 or freshly 14. So I mean, that was over a year ago because I'm 15 going on 16. Um, but I was like, thank you. And at this Comic Con, I had gone with my dad. Like, he's a 6'3" Native American biker dude. No one wants to really mess with him. And it's kind of sad that he was the one that had to get me out of this situation. And then the guy had started talking about his theories of where Spy Family was going to be, like, going in the future, and I was fine with that. I'm fine with listening to people's theories. But then he asked me how old I was, and so I said I'm 14 or I'm 13. I think I said I was 14 because either way I was either just about to turn 14 or I just turned 14. So I said I'm 14, and so this guy goes on to say, "Oh, nice, I'm 21." Personally, I feel uncomfortable interacting with someone who's over the age of 20. As a 14-year-old, I feel uncomfortable interacting with a male or a man over the age of 20, or actually over the age of 16 at a convention. And 16 is bad too, because that's when they're a teenage boy. And, you know, no thanks. um, But then I was like uncomfortable. I was like, oh, okay, nice. And I was like looking around trying to find a way to get out of this conversation. And so I was like walking around the convention. My little sister, who was 9, freshly 10 at this point, I think she was 9, was with me, and my dad was like, with me too, but not attached to my hip like my sister was. But he was still talking. He was still yapping. He's just going on and on and on. And I was like, okay, this is weird. I want to get out of this situation. So I was like, I looked back at my dad and I was like, hey, can we go get concessions? Like, can we go get a snack or something? And he was like, yeah, let's go do that. Because he could tell I was like very uncomfortable with the situation. And so I looked at the other guy. Hold on. Hello. You need to be comfortable. I don't know why I'm not sitting up on my bed, but it's fine. Um, so I looked at the guy and I was like, "Hey, we're gonna go get concessions. I'll see you later." Like that was an obvious like I'm ending this conversation. Editing Andrea here once again to interrupt your video. Um, that was a really big mistake of mine because I told him where I was going. If you are uncomfortable in a conversation or something at a convention or in a public space, never, like, if you're going to leave, never tell them where you're going because that just gives them the opportunity to follow you or go with you. Like, just don't tell them where you're going. So, like, hey, we're gonna go do something else. I'll talk to you later. Like, don't tell them where you're going. Okay. Enjoy the video. Hopefully, I don't pop up again. I'm gonna go spend time with my dad. Like, bye. You're a creepy 21-year-old talking to a 14-year-old girl at a convention. You're weird. So he was like, okay, blah, blah, blah. Then we went over to the concession stands, but this guy didn't leave. He stayed around. And at this point, I was beyond uncomfortable and I was like searching for ways to get out of this man's sight. Um, and so my dad basically, we got our drinks and then we basically beelined up to the second floor of the convention. And we avoided him at all costs every time we saw him. Um, so it was a lot of fun. The same convention, this one wasn't really creepy. It was more like, I'm here to enjoy the convention. I'm not here for this person. So, but the next instance was with an older gentleman. I think he was at least in his 70s or 80s. He was getting up there in age. He was older. Um, and he was really nice. Like he was very respectful. He was very, he just wanted to talk to someone. And I was open to talking to him at first, and then it just like 20 minutes has passed, and this guy's still yapping. I'm like, oh, brother, get this guy on a stage or something, because oh my god, why are we talking about the war? Um, yeah. No, but at some point we had to basically do the same maneuver of avoiding him after I said, hey, we're gonna go to the cosplay lineup. So I have to go, but it was really nice talking to you. So we kind of just like avoided him the rest of the time, and I kind of feel bad, but he was a really sweet guy, and I listened to him for at least 35 minutes just talking about Iraq and the war and how prices on comic books used to be 50 cents and all that stuff. But it was overall like the experience of that Comic Con was still good. I'm still glad I went because I still got plenty of cool stuff. Um, I think I got my child and Zhongli keychains from there, so that's kind of fun. But yeah, those are my instances, and basically all I did was avoid people, avoided those people until I felt comfortable again. Um, that's not always the best tactic to use by all means. Like, there are better ones and other ones to use. And if you use them, like, props to you at that point. When those both happened, I was, like I said, I was even younger. I was inexperienced with conventions as in itself. Like, I think that was probably my third convention ever, maybe fourth. Um, but it was the only one I've ever really had. I've ever had like an actual creepy, uncomfortable experience with. So yeah. And just a PSA, just for anyone who might be watching this, who might be like genuinely a good person, but don't know how to go like, because there's like a bunch of people that go around with cameras and take pictures of cosplayers, or like ask to take pictures with cosplayers at conventions, and there's nothing wrong with that. Trust me, there's nothing wrong with that. But the way that you approach and request a picture is so important. Last year at Anime Festival Wichita, or AFW, which is what I'm going to this weekend, I was approached by plenty of people asking for, can I take your picture? Can I take a picture with you? Like, yeah, of course. I ask other people that too. Um, but it's a really good thing to think about how you approach and how you ask. If you woke up and you're just like, um, hey, like, can I get your picture? Like, you're asking for someone's snap, like you're hitting on them, the chances of them saying yes aren't exactly low, but they're lower than they would be if you ask like a normal person. Don't be creepy about it, bro. It's really not that hard. It's really not that hard. Don't be creepy about it. Personally, if I want a picture with or of someone at a convention, I always go up and I'm like, hey, I love your cosplay. Can I get a picture with you, or can I get a picture of you? I always ask with you because in more cases than none, cosplayers will feel much more comfortable taking, especially if they're cosplaying like a female character, because you know how animes and games are about their female designs. They'll always feel more comfortable if you take the picture with them, if you're in the picture with them, because then they feel less fetishized, unfortunately. Um, and the only reason I say this is because I am a minor who loves to cosplay like women, especially from like Genshin and plenty of animes. I am going as Junko in Oshima to AFW if my Princess Peach cosplay doesn't come in time. Like, I I love cosplaying women, and it's much less of a hassle compared to cosplaying men, because then I don't have to bind my chest, which I did in when I was in like the sixth grade for every day, like for 8 hours on end. And guys, I can't do that no more. I can't do that no more, and I can't afford to get another binder like that actually fits me anymore. So, um, but like to each their own. Like, you never, especially if you're walking up to a stranger at a convention, you never know what their boundaries are. You don't know, like, you just don't know. So just be respectful in everything you do, like with strangers. Um, if someone tells you no, just take that answer. I feel like that should be common sense and common decency, but unfortunately, it's not. Um, like, yeah, it's sad, but keep that keep respect in mind every time you interact with another cosplayer, because I I don't know about anyone else, but personally, I don't want to be the reason that someone looks back at a convention and was like, man, this convention was horrible. You know, I wouldn't want to draw someone away from a yearly convention ever in my life. Like, no thanks. No, I'm good. But yeah, so that's basically how I dealt with experiences and interacting with people at conventions. Um, I hope you guys found this video useful. Because I feel like I see a couple videos usually on TikTok about it. Um, it's a lot less common now than it used to be in the peak of like teenagers cosplaying or people cosplaying in general. Um, it's not as like a pop it's not as popular of a video anymore because like when I first started there were a bunch of cosplayers making videos about like what to take for, in your bag, what they take in their bags, like all this stuff. And so it can be really confusing for a beginner to be like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I don't understand, like especially if there's nothing current. Now, mind you, I haven't been to a convention in a year. This will be my first convention of the summer and of 2024. And I'm so excited, and I will be vlogging, by the way. I will be vlogging. There should be a video out, hopefully by next Monday. It's Tuesday, week before, or week of, technically, of the convention. So it's what day is it actually?
I want to say it's the 16th. Right? Sorry.
It's the 18th. It's the 18th. Yeah, it's the 18th. Okay. I am not with it today. But it's the 18th, the convention. I'm going only on the 22nd, that Saturday. So that's that's the plan. That's the plan. Hopefully everything goes according to that. I hope, fingers crossed, my Princess Peach dress comes in time. Otherwise, I will be there as Junko. And if you see me, please don't be afraid to like walk up and say hi or like anything like that because I love taking pictures. I love meeting mutuals and even people who follow me on TikTok and stuff. Um, like I love all that. I've met up with mutuals at AFW before, and it's always been a fun time. Even if we don't talk like for a super long time, we usually talk for at least 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, or even just like a passerby, hey, how are you type thing. So it's always a lot of fun. But yeah, I hope you found this video helpful in any sort of way. Like like I said, take a water bottle, stay hydrated, stay safe, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!
When I show